a proposed new elementary school in Trussville, and the death of a beloved Hewitt Trussville coach. Tribune Unscripted starts now. Welcome back, everybody. It's Thursday. We appreciate you joining us for Tribune Unscripted. Unfortunately, there is no other way to start the show today other than to talk about the tragic death of David Dobbs in a terrible accident on the interstate, basically in Trussville here yesterday.
Right, and it is a tragedy for this community, for our school community, and Anita, his wife, is in critical condition, and we're trying to monitor that and certainly praying for that family.
Yeah, absolutely.
David was a unique individual. I mean, there's just really, I don't know anybody you could compare him to. He was so involved, not just as a teacher and a coach, but with the kids individually. I cannot put into words what they meant, what he meant to this community, and what Anita means to the community. But even in retirement, David was knee deep in everything. Served on the tree commission,
he was here last year to talk about things the Tree Commission was doing.
Right, and he approached that like he approaches everything else, and had always approached everything else, which is to do it right. You know, and he made such a difference there. I think Ralph Mitchell would tell us that David was a huge asset during his time serving. In fact, the last conversation I had with David, other than text messages, which went all the time, the last conversation was at Arbor Day, and I spent some time talking about some things with him there and just catching up. But it's especially hard. He and Anita had both retired from teaching and coaching. I think he actually retired from coaching twice, and they wouldn't let him the first time. But they were just living their best life, traveling, seeing things, doing the things they'd always wanted to do. And
sounds like back here enjoying grandchildren a lot now,
yeah,
too. So
absolutely. I mean, his family was his priority, and after that was his community. So it is difficult on a lot of people in this community.
And somebody had mentioned, people said several things to me yesterday, but and I did not know them very well. I didn't know Anita at all. I kind of came through the school system. They came after me. She taught my sister math and some things like that. But had mentioned that they still come back to a lot of the track events.
Oh yeah,
things. And they're always together.
The track's named after them.
Yes. So there's that. So their name's on the building. And but like Matthew Mishalke, who coaches the cross country team at the high school, sent out a message. My nephew's on that team, and I won't read his words because I don't think he meant necessarily for them to be used like this. But I was touched at what he said to the team and how Coach Dobbs coached him and inspired him to coach.
Yeah.
And so it was just,
rough. And that was David. He inspired kids in the classroom as well as in athletics and in track. And Anita did as well. They were both outstanding classroom teachers, not average. They were great at everything they did. And we're praying for full recovery for Anita, and we're praying for the whole family because we know how difficult this must be for them. It is a reminder that life is fleeting. I mean, this was a sudden change that didn't just impact a family, but impacted an entire community. And I think sometimes, we do tend to take tomorrow for granted. And it's a reminder to live for today. And I'd say to live it the way David Dobbs lived it, to the fullest every single day. And we were fortunate to have him in Trussville, very fortunate to have him in Trussville.
I do think it's important to mention, too, we still don't really know all the details of the crash.
We don't.
Were they on 59 or 459?
They were on 59 near the 138-mile marker, which would put them about 3 miles south of the Chalkville Road exit, right down into the construction area.
Okay, so that's what I wanted to mention. Yeah. It really is. I was coming back, merging 459 to 59, coming back from a field trip Tuesday. I mentioned to you that somebody who I later saw was, from out of state, almost took me out in that little area,
right.
Hit me from behind, and that driver got upset, but they didn't. I drive that a lot. They don't, and they didn't understand the drop in the lane. Anyway,
if you live in Trussville, you're
it's really
probably
dangerous right now.
you're kind of keeping up with the changes, and some of these changes, what you could do yesterday, you couldn't do today.
Yeah,
but Trussville
it's hard.
drivers are more prepared for it. But a lot of people on the interstate are not Trussville drivers. They're passing through, and
it feels very dangerous.
It feels dangerous. Lori hates it right now.
Yeah, I do
she
too.
tries to avoid it.
I do too.
I try to avoid it, and I'm sure others do as well. But I mean, things like this happen, and they happen instantaneously and change lives. So be careful in that area. Hopefully, this will end soon. But man, what a cost! What a cost!
That's what I thought too. Okay. All right. Well, there is a lot of news in Trussville this over the past week or so, and so we do want to cover some of those things. One of them that did have a lot of people talking over the weekend was a proposed new elementary school for the Trussville school system, and that's really great. We kind of heard about that before it came out. And then a video was released from Mayor Ben Short and a council person and Dr. Patrick Martin, superintendent of schools here, explaining that this development, there's a proposed development on Camp Coleman Road, and the developer has now, it sounds like they've been working back and forth on the number of homes, the density for many, many months, and it sounds like the 25 acres is going to be provided for a school in that area. So I'm assuming that would relieve from pain. They really didn't get into the weeds of how that would be.
And that's all got to go through federal court to get approval, and so there's a lot of work to do. But
obviously that would be the goal.
Obviously, it's very close, and it would do it. You tried to get the mayor to come on, but he had
at the very last second.
Yeah, and he had some obligations.
Yeah, but he was actually in an obligation.
One thing Ben really loves is when I speak for him, so I'm gonna step right in and just. So this development you're talking about is off of Camp Coleman on the other side of the tracks, of the train tracks.
Right, like across from the Publix area. Yeah.
And there's a couple little lakes there. There's a little parcel of property that is going to be deeded to the city to put in a little pocket park, which is something we've talked about for a long time in Trussville, getting some more parks,
outside of downtown Trussville.
Yeah, into different areas of town. So this is a good opportunity to start. And as you mentioned, they donated 25 acres to Trussville City Schools as part of the agreement. So that'll be part of the agreement, and that gives us space for that fourth elementary school that we desperately need. Maybe more importantly, it will start a parallel road that will parallel Highway 11 on the other side of the train tracks. This will take a long time to complete because it'll come as development comes. Ben has already gotten, we've already gotten, I think, $4 million from Katie Britt to widen Deerfoot down to 11.
Right.
He's applied for another grant through Senator Britt's office to kind of start the other side of it. So ultimately, you'll have a road paralleling Highway 11 all the way down, which will give people on that side of the train tracks multiple places to cross.
When the train is stopped.
It'll make it almost impossible for the train to shut down that side of town completely the way it's done in the past.
Major.
So it'll be a long-term project. I've seen it on paper. It's a great plan, and the mayor's trying to put that together a piece at a time going forward. So that's what they're talking about, an area for a new elementary school. But there's other changes they're looking at.
So also at play here is they're looking at to alleviate the load on the middle school because this community turned down a property tax increase. It's been a year ago now, or a year or so ago, that would have included major renovation at the middle school to add space there, especially a bigger cafeteria for the middle school.
Right.
So
because we have half the kids are eating at the lunchroom every day, and they're starting to eat
they're eating
at
in their
10 o'clock.
classrooms.
They're having lunch at break time, and it's so just not the way.
And probably at some point, I hate to break it to everybody, I would imagine they'll still need a cafeteria at some point. Maybe. Anyway.
This is a Band-Aid.
Yeah, but for elementary schools, this is good. But they're looking at moving to this K-6 model for our elementary schools, which sixth graders are elementary students.
I love that part of this.
And so I see no harm there. And it is interesting because when your student is a sixth grader at Hewitt Middle, they can't do anything else. They can't try out for the sports teams. They can't do anything like that other than they can be in the play. They can participate in mountain biking because that's a club sport, but they can't do any official school sports because they're elementary students.
Yeah.
And so I remember getting that information, saying that to my kid, well, you can't do that because you're still an elementary student. And so, I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah,
they are still elementary students.
I'm going to get on my soapbox a little bit. I don't think sixth graders belong with seventh and eighth graders. I've never thought that.
And they do. The middle school does an excellent job.
They do. They do a good job.
Put them in a bubble.
And this is a national, middle schools, I never liked middle schools.
Yeah.
And it's a national thing. It has nothing to do with Trussville or Alabama or Birmingham. This is just where education moved.
Yeah.
I always viewed that as something that was more convenient for the school systems, but not in the best interest of the kids.
Yep.
You just hit on it. A sixth grader moves to the middle school, but he's not eligible to do squat. So now they're stuck up there with these big kids.
They can do band, which I'm interested to see what how the band program adapts to that model, because students do begin band in the sixth grade.
Yeah,
a huge number of them, because there's not that many options.
When my wife first moved to Trussville, she was teaching Spanish to seventh graders.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
She was going to Hewitt Elementary and teaching Spanish classes. So all that can be adapted.
Yeah, it will be adapted. That'll be interesting to see.
She didn't even have a classroom her first year. I think she went to 3 different buildings through the day. But what the middle school model did was move ninth graders, which used to be in junior high. Remember, junior high was 7th, 8th, 9th grade. Mm-hmm. It moved those ninth graders to the high school where the freshmen could go in and start participating in athletics.
Right.
All my life, I have believed this was for high school athletics, not academics. It's one of several things that we've seen happen in American education that has led to a tremendous decline since about 1980. And where things started looking to me like they were being made convenient for all the wrong reasons, and the kids weren't prioritized. I think this prioritizes the kids. I like it. I'll probably get argued with by coaches and principals, and that's okay. I've been wrong before. I'm used to it. But I like this model for that reason, and I think it's going to be good for the kids.
I have a rising sixth grader, and so it is interesting because I even said the other day, there are just things that you have to sit down and make sure you've covered with your kid before they go to middle school.
You better,
and
because it's going to get covered on the bus on the way. Otherwise,
or in another. So keeping them in their little elementary school hubs gives you a little bit more wiggle room.
Yeah, a little more of a parental comfort.
Yeah, and so because you kind of have to like hit a list before they walk into those middle school doors.
And I promise
that's just life.
You don't have everything on that list you need because you don't know about it yet.
No, probably not. So, anyways, sixth graders are elementary school students.
That's right. So, I'm with you.
So I thought that was
and kudos to Trussville for doing the right thing.
Yep. And it cut the cost of that. So Dr. Martin said that the revised plan, however, has brought costs down from $90 million to $35 to $45. Funding it will still have to be finalized, so they'll be working through that. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, and credit to Dr. Martin and our school board. When the community said no, they said no.
Yeah. Then we change it.
That did not make the need go away.
Right.
It just removed the most obvious way to fund it. They've worked tirelessly to find other. I mean, we've got the wing going up at the high school. That was critical. They have figured out where they can sacrifice. They have deferred. They've done whatever they needed to do to meet the need with one hand tied behind their back. So I appreciate that from our board, from our superintendent. That's the way you need to operate. Look for the optimal answer. If the answer is not what you were seeking, you still got to solve it.
Yeah.
So I appreciate all the work they've put in to figure this out, and I appreciate the work from the mayor's office to put some elements in place that will help the future,
absolutely.
help it grow in the future. So
okay, all right. Also, this week, a letter went out to people who have memberships at the Trussville Civic Center. The Trussville Civic Center, since it was built, offers free memberships to people 65 and up.
Yeah.
That is a very popular program.
Oh, it's a very nice thing to do for the folks that built this community too.
So yeah. And I mean, it is just well used. But that is coming to an end.
Kinda.
Sort of, yeah. So when I very first heard about it, I just heard it was ending, but that's not really the case. What has happened is the Civic Center has gone through the process to be able to for people to use. A lot of people 65 and up have access with their insurance through these memberships, and now Trussville Civic Center qualifies to be one of those, like the YMCA.
Yeah, if you're
so
not,
they can be like a silver sneaker spot.
Right.
So so if you're 65 and up, your insurance may still just pay your membership. You just have to fill out paperwork.
If you don't have a fee, you can't apply for reimbursement for a fee. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I kind of get what's going on here.
Me too.
There a lot of our seniors do have insurance programs that will pay for their membership. But I think Ben made it clear that we're not turning seniors away.
No.
Now, I'm 65, so I kind of fall into that category. But if it's a financial need and you don't qualify for any of these, just let them know.
Right.
And they're going to help you meet that need. So I think this is a good plan. I get why they're doing it. If there is money out there that could be used to pay for this, it's not free to the city to run the civic center.
No, it's
not. So I'm all for it.
And I was looking for this particular sentence out of the story. It says, rather, the city's new model will be structured around either insurance reimbursement, a discounted monthly rate, or in some cases, financial assistance.
Yeah.
So hopefully that,
And we're still covering the most important thing, which is seniors have access at no cost to them.
Right.
That I love that we do that, and I don't want that to end. But this makes good financial sense to me.
Okay. All right. Also, they said the reduced senior rate will also begin at 60 instead of 65. So they made it younger.
Oh, great! Yeah. 5 years too late to help me.
Please.
Listen, that's whether you pay or not for the Trussville Civic Center. That is the best deal in town.
Yeah, it really is.
I mean, that is a bargain.
But, so this was fun. During the meeting, Mayor Short ended up announcing, and I don't know exactly how it came out, but it was interesting. But he ended up making an announcement that Trussville's getting a Planet Fitness, and it's moving into the Big Lots location that's up by Walmart and has been empty since 2024. And so that's great that something is going there. So there could be, but that came. Well, I don't know.
The guy in charge of this for Planet Fitness, I think he's still in charge of it. He was, and he handled these expansions all over the country for him. Is actually my old roommate from Tuscaloosa, so it may not be great for him that the announcement came out a little early. But I also don't think he knows yet. He'll know when I text him this afternoon. That word's out, and you'll be on Unscripted next week.
So Planet Fitness is just one of a list of things that they've announced. So Planet Fitness, the Raising Cane's, the Home to Suites Hotel, the Culvers, and another possible hotel near the Pinnacle. So, I mean, there's just been a lot of business announcements lately. And that's good. And
I'm comfortable in saying there will be more.
Oh.
So, well, I mean, I don't want to get over my skis, but yeah, I just know there's a lot of interest from a lot of different businesses.
Okay.
The only thing I hope is that we can continue to kind of push downtown for independently owned businesses, businesses that are not at every interstate exit, because I think that's one of the things that makes us unique and pulls a lot of people in, because if you can't get off the interstate at any exit and eat at a certain place, then you might drive to that certain place. So as long as we keep that in mind, and I think Trussville's always done a pretty good job, not perfect, but sometimes you do things because you don't know what's coming tomorrow. I think we've done a pretty good job at keeping the right commercial in the right areas of town, and it's important for this new council to stay focused on that and do that.
Well, you do that with a good plan. So it's a perfect transition. So tonight,
you need something long term, you think?
Tonight, yes. Tonight. So tonight there is a community kickoff event at the Trussville Civic Center at 6 o'clock for the Trussville Comprehensive Plan update process. So it sounds like, am I stepping out too far if I say, and Ben, I did talk to Ben, he's going to come on the show the next couple of weeks to cover a lot of this that's really just beginning.
It's okay, ask your questions. I'll be happy to answer them anyway.
Is it a stretch? Yeah, I bet you would. Is it a stretch to say maybe this is an update to 2040? Is that what we're updating?
That's kind of the way I view it.
Okay.
Now, Ben may be here in a week or two and say, y'all are just so completely wrong.
Okay,
but that's
fine.
kind of the way I view it. The 2040 plan is actually almost 10 years old now, right?
Yeah, hard to believe.
And we got 2030 dead in the sights. It'll be here before you know it.
Okay.
So I kind of view it as an updating and relooking. And remember, Buddy and I talked about this a lot, but, especially maybe his last 6 months in office. He would talk about that list he carried around of items that he had prioritized.
Yes.
And I saw that list many times. I was there when he actually made the list.
Yeah.
And I was there, I think, the first time he pulled it out, which may have been a public safety committee meeting the first time I actually saw it. But he talked a lot about how many things on that list have been marked off.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why you
them
set
all
goals and put a list up there, because if it's in front of you all the time.
It was during his first administration, actually, that they knocked them off.
Did a lot of that stuff, and the Valley Road extension, and we could just go on and on.
Yeah.
So by virtue of that, it is time to relook and rethink.
Absolutely.
And remember, when Buddy went into office, downtown Trussville was kind of an embarrassment. It was not the jewel that we consider it now.
Yes,
and think how many people have moved to Trussville since that opened that don't even know those days.
I do want to say, so tonight they are going to record that event and put it out later. It's not going to be live streamed like the meetings, but they're going to record it and put it out. But if you go at 6, there's town planning and urban design, will be holding presentations, followed by an interactive mapping workshop.
I don't know what that means.
So if city planning is your bag, that's very exciting. If not, you may want to just blow through the recorded thing later or read a story about it, because I think Brady's going. So.
Yeah, Brady will be there. And
he'll cover the highlights.
If you're a Tribune reader who's been on our Facebook page complaining about different things going on in the city, they would love for you to show up for this meeting. They want to hear from you in person. I think you would enjoy the meeting, and I think they would enjoy you.
That was a lot of Trussville news this morning. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to be with Brandy McLaren from the Leeds Art Council to talk about dirty, rotten scoundrels. Stay with us. Did I get that right?
Have you been to Discount Warehouse lately? New electronics, brand name makeup, and bedding arrive daily. Follow their Facebook page to find out about special sales on clothing, tools, and fireworks. Discount Warehouse, where you will never pay.
Exactly what to look for when I'm out for a stroll. A house with natural gas. They're not hard to spot. Just look for the unmistakable charm of a natural gas lantern and the meal tickets enjoying themselves in the backyard, cooking up perfectly grilled treats on their natural gas grills. Too easy. And providing toasty spots for a cat nap. Now this is the good life. Visit my website and learn why natural gas is a home's best friend.
Welcome back. Okay, we are going to switch gears here and talk about some local community theater, and Brandy McLaren from Leeds Art Council is with us today. Brandy, we appreciate you joining us. You guys are getting ready to do Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, and I am old enough, I remember the movie with Steve Martin and Michael Caine as the French men, the con men, and they're trying to kind of woo this wealthy heiress. Is that the version that is going to be on stage, kind of?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. It very closely follows the movie. The stage production does. I would say, seeing both of them, that the stage production is probably even funnier than the movie, and that's pretty tall cotton to be standing in when you talk about Michael Caine and Steve Martin.
That is.
Yeah, you got to have the right people to pull that off, Brandy. So who are those right people?
So Lawrence, who is the main con man from France, he is being played by John McLaren. And the person, Freddie Benson, is being played by Brian Allison. Now, John and Brian have worked together for years and years in community theater, and they have a really great rhythm together and are both very good at physical comedy. So you will be very, very entertained when you watch them.
Timing is really everything on comedy, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. We saw another show over at Hewitt Theater this past weekend, Moon Over Buffalo, which was over at Actus several years ago, and it's a physical comedy show. And there is a fine art to being able to open doors quickly and do all the things that really make that come together. I mean, it is a high art form.
Now, this is a musical too, right?
Yes, this is a musical. The music is really, really great. I said it was kind of like a mixture of Pink Panther, The Love Boat, and Austin Powers all mixed into one. The score is great. When the stage production was on Broadway back in 2005, John Lithgow played Lawrence Jameson, and he is just fantastic at his craft. So it's a very, very good show.
Well, I have no trouble seeing John McLaren as a con man. Tell him I said that. I think he'll sell that role.
Yes,
That's funny.
He's very, very good. You get to see him in a completely kind of different character here.
Well, so when is this? And just remind people how to get tickets.
Okay, so we open on April 24th, which is a Friday night. We are actually sold out for Friday night. But we do have tickets remaining for the rest of the run. We run through the next weekend, May 3rd, and we actually added a Saturday matinee to May 2nd. So there's 7 opportunities to see the show.
Oh, wow, okay.
Okay, and it's a Saturday matinee.
Yes, so we'll have 2 shows the second Saturday of the run. So we'll have a 2:30 show and a 7 o'clock show that day.
Good deal.
Mm-hmm.
And they buy their tickets?
They can buy their tickets at leedsartscouncil.org and click on the ticket link and you can select your seats.
Okay. Hey, I always like to ask you this too because, you know, the people that enjoy theater in this community and go to all the different things, their kids are really involved. Is this kids show or maybe leave the kids at home that night?
I would say 13 and up are good to go. There's, some adult innuendo in there. There's very mild profanity, not any more than you would see on a public television program these days.
Yeah.
So I think it would be okay. We actually have students in this show. So I've got 5 students that are, probably ages 14 to 18 in the show. It's really well done, and they will really, really have a good time.
Hey, Brandy, before we let you go, summer's going to be here before we know it. I mean,
Yes.
Kids are stacking the books up on their desk and getting ready for that final bell to ring right now. What does Leeds have going on the remainder of spring and into the summer?
Okay, we have a very big summer plan. So after we wrap up Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, which is the end of our season, we're going to segue into summer camps. Before we do that, our community chorus will perform on May 16th. That's a free event to the community. They're doing 60s, which is kind of their theme. They kind of follow what the walking tour does. So they'll be putting on their show on the 16th. The first summer camp we have, which starts June 1st and runs through the 14th, is going to be Little Mermaid Junior. I'm actually directing that one. We already have 47 children signed up for that production. And then the one that we will do next starts June 15th and runs through the 28th, and that is Something Rotten Junior. And then also our main stage production for the summer is going to be SpongeBob the Musical. We're really excited about that. It's going to be a great summer full of activities. And as soon as we finish with all of those summer productions, we'll move into our fall shows, which we're doing Into the Woods on main stage and Addams Family Junior for our Musical Mondays.
Okay. All right. Well, that sounds great. Thanks for the update, for sure.
It does, yeah.
All right. Well, Brandy, we always appreciate you coming by.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay. All right, and we will talk to you soon. All right, a couple of other stories you and I are going to hit before we get away for today. Let's talk about, because you love to talk about a drought. Well, because you hate, you're terrified of droughts. But we're kind of in one, and we are under this fire alert.
Yeah.
And that's a statewide deal now. So
we were actually just added to the drought map this morning.
Okay.
And I guess the National Weather Service puts that out. However, and you're right, I hate droughts. I'd rather be beat than go through a drought.
yeah, well, especially right here at the beginning of summer, it is starting to worry me a little bit.
This is kind of a critical month for rainfall.
Yeah,
It's
I know.
usually one of your wettest months, and we're not getting that. The pattern appears to be changing a little bit this weekend. We've got a chance for some rain on Saturday night, which we need.
Yes, we do.
And I talked to Mike Strength yesterday. I don't think at this point he's got a lot of fear, but if it continues, we've got to watch our water supply. They are actually predicting a pretty good change in the weather pattern, not this weekend, but next weekend.
Yeah, and it's going to even cool off again.
Yeah, and we've got a chance to get a little more of a drencher. That's the problem when you're in a drought and you're watching water. You could get a big storm, but most of it will run off.
Yeah.
You want it to kind of be a soaker because we use the aquifers under the ground, so we want it to soak into the ground and then to our underground aquifer. So hopefully we will not be in a serious drought situation. We've been fortunate so far. I think today's the first day that I've seen the Trussville area actually be coated in the drought. It was kind of being left out of the conversation.
But now we're in it.
Yeah, and hopefully things will change quick enough we won't be there much or long.
All right, I did want to talk about that. Also, I saw the information about, so we have a Hero Donuts here in downtown Trussville next to Rodney Scott's, but the one in Hoover is closing.
Was it the Heroes in Hoover?
Yes, so it said Hoover Hero closes amid restructuring.
So that one closed.
And I didn't know.
That same restaurant group also owns Tasty Town, which is a Greek. And I think the one by Railroad Park closed on the same day. So, and they also own Rodney Scott.
Yep.
And it seems like there's a Little Donkey is part of their restaurant group. So we'll kind of see the Trussville locations were not affected.
Okay.
But we'll keep an eye on that.
Yeah, I didn't know if there was something coming down the pipe there.
Yeah, we'll just kind of watch that and see what comes up down the road with them, because I do think you found that they were restructuring some things. Is that what you said?
That's what the headline said.
Okay.
Yes.
So we found that.
So we'll see.
I got you.
Okay. Also, what was the last thing I wanted? Oh, I was putting this out for people in Irondale. I thought this was interesting. So Irondale is actually doing a citizen survey right now, and you can go, and I have the link. There, Ron's got it. You can scan that code, I'm assuming even just from our story, but it's probably on their Irondale City websites and things too. They are to know how interested people are in it before making that kind of investment. So if you live in Irondale, that's probably a good idea to fill that out, because I think they really want to hear from people, and if that's something that could work for people there, or
Well, and credit to Irondale, they really do try to get input from their citizens, from the public, before they go in any direction. They kind of let that be citizen guided. So this is another way to do it, maybe do it a little quicker.
We were talking about what a great location Irondale is last week, where you really are just so close to downtown and things like that.
Right.
So, anyway.
If you don't mind, pull up CBS 42, and perhaps Brady can look at the same time. I want to mention a story that's on there. It's been up for a couple of days. We'll pull it over to the Tribune later today. But it is about a rock guitarist, a legendary rock guitarist. Do you see a headline mentioning that? Drew Taylor wrote it. This guy's originally from, I want to find the name because some of our rock aficionados will recognize it. And I'm sorry it's not coming up to me off the top of my head, but born in Center Point and has passed away. Final years of his life in Oregon, but he played with everybody from the Rolling Stones. I'm trying to think of all the people he played
Perkins?
for. Wayne Perkins, yeah. Okay. Just a fantastic story. We will have that on TrussvilleTribune.com later today. But the family is trying to raise money. They've started a GoFundMe, and they want to create some type of memorial that will honor him. And he toured all over the world. He could have done more. He turned down stuff that could have put him in.
It says he played with everyone from Bob Marley to the Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
Wow.
Did a lot of work in Muscle Shoals with the studio there. But in the world of rock and roll, he was really, really well known. And again, born in Center Point, lived his final years in Argo and was living in Argo when he passed away. But he still has family in the area, and they would like for him to be recognized locally the way he was in the world of rock and roll for decades and decades and decades. I mean, he was a big name on the inside of the industry. And I just thought it was, Drew does such a great job on stories like this. And he's one of the news folks for the online at CBS 42. I've actually followed Drew's career since he worked at the Tuscaloosa News years and years and years ago. But when you see his byline, you probably want to read the story. He comes up with some good ones.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's really neat. I'm glad you brought that to our attention.
And two connections to the Tribune area.
Yeah,
so.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that's all we have today. Again, you'll keep the website updated and posted about the Dobbs family for sure.
Yeah, as soon as we have funeral arrangements, we will make those public.
And any news about Anita Dobbs.
Yeah. And in the meantime, just please pray for that family.
Absolutely.
Please pray for that family.
Okay. And we'll be back next week.
If you don't have a will, trust, or some kind of estate plan, you're leaving your loved ones with a lot of headaches. Probate fees and tax issues bring stress to your family while they grieve your loss. Cahaba Law Group is here to protect them and give you reassurance that your hard-earned money and assets are not lost to bureaucratic mayhem. They can help you create the ideal estate plan. If you're currently in probate, Cahaba Law Group can help assist you there too. Plus, they can handle more than just probate. They can serve you in just about any legal matter. Begin now by scheduling a consultation